Here I go again. Okay. Hello, my name is Michelle Nashez. I'm a program manager for STEP. I've worked there for 12 years, almost 13 years. I've worked face-to-face with so many people that we support. I have facilitators that are supervisors that I supervise. There's 8 of them. We work overnight. This night, this pager is with me all the time. The minimum wage times 2. You need to make it, you need to fund it. I hope you can really figure that out for the supervisors and really have the heart and the heart right for all of us. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ann. I work for STEP for 7 years. I'm a job coach. I really work hard to support the clients and help them to become more independent. I have a new staff that's hired, and they're going to have the same pay as I am. Really, it's really hard to, why don't I get a wage increase? I don't understand how the $9 and then I don't get a wage increase.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Long, and I'm ex-governor appointee to the Department of Developmental Services as a consumer liaison. And today my message is a little bit different than what you are used to hear, and that is thank you so much for all the work that you've done to be able to save supported living. And may we get more people in supported living out of the developmental centers and being able to improve their lives also. The task is going to be very difficult, but we believe that we can do it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Holly Lane Bean on behalf of Children Now, and we just wanted to express our strong support for the early start renewal. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Sana. I love my people and I love to keep them. And I hope I get to keep them.
She loves all of her staff and she
Right,
wants
she
to
wants
keep
to
all of
them.
the
I
staff
heard
she
her.
has.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Monique Cook. I have mental retardation, mild mental retardation, and I also have alcohol fetal syndrome. And I've been beat up, raped, and then I was in a mental facility for a year, and I came a long way from then till now. I am with STEP, and they help me to live independently. But if you guys take away my hours to where I have like a lot of staff in and out of my house, I don't think that would be very good for me because I have a hard time with change because of my beat up and my rape and stuff. So it's really hard on me. So I'm hoping that maybe you guys can find a way for me just to keep the staff for 48 hours that I have, because it's change is very hard for me. I get sick really easy when I have a lot of change. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Paulett, representing the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. Given the short time, I just want to focus on a couple of issues for restoration. One of them is early start services. I was part of the budget task forces that dealt with issues in 2009 that led to these cuts. And when we are facing a $20 billion deficit, it's these kinds of terrible choices we had to make. But during a time of budget surplus, it's hard to imagine that we wouldn't restore services to children where these services can actually alleviate a disability or prevent a disability from happening. I also want to focus on the copay, coinsurance, and deductible issue. This is another area that's tragic, where families are having to stop behavioral therapy for children or drop their children from their own insurance, and it's not even clear that this saves money. So ask your consideration for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Hi, my name's Kimberly Pollard, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of us that have disabilities. Safety and stability is important in our everyday lives, so we ask that you consider keeping the overtime exemption. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carol Nolan, and I've worked with people with the developmental services disabilities for over 30 years. Dr. Weber, I so commend you on your questions about the developmental centers. Thank you so much. I've worked with people that most of them are severely disabled, and they've lived in the developmental centers. They talk about being hungry, abused, beaten, and raped. Please shut them down. Please, the state of California, help parents of those people in the developmental centers know that there are organizations out there willing and able to work with their adult children no matter how severe the disability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlene Holden with Easter Seals. We really appreciate the task force on the future of the developmental centers and clearly support the recommendations, and we look forward to working with the department as well as the legislature in implementing them. We're also an active member on the Lanterman Coalition, and we work very hard to be able to prioritize the issues. We've got to figure our services expand the full array of lifespan for people with developmental disability throughout California. And so we're touched by all of those cuts that have happened over the last few years. So it was a difficult task to prioritize how some of those things get reinstated and reinvested. And so we fully support the Lanterman position as well. And I do have handouts that you offered that we could share. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And your leadership.
Hi, my name is Jones Germani. I'm a community support facilitator. I support individuals in their own community and to live more and be more independent in living in their own home. And I'm here to show support to the Lanterman Coalition.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Hill, and I work for STEP. I'm one of the people who support our individuals, and I think it's really important that you hear from us as the workers that I would much rather stay at the rate that I am at and not have the overtime go into effect and have the people that my people are used to having with them, instead of having a parade of workers come through their home that they don't know or trust or have to learn all the things that are so important for them to know about them. It's not beneficial to them. They want to feel safe in their home. They don't want to feel like it's a parade of a house. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you who came and who and shared with us your experiences, knowing that we didn't have a tremendous amount of time to give each one of you. But I think the collectiveness of all of your comments clearly addressed the kind of critical issues that we face in making our decision. As we said, this item will be rolled over, but we are very conscious of the things you've said. We know that we're in a better place financially as a state, and obviously, as a result of that, must do better. We know about the compounded impact of past cuts, not just 1 year, but over and over, and as well as the interconnectedness between the various programs that people participate in. That it's not just a housing issue, it's not just a medical issue, it's not just a IHS issue, it's all of those issues together that really impact your life and obviously make the decision very difficult that we have to do. But at the same time, we want to at least indicate that we are concerned. We do hear you. We will do some things to hopefully restore some of the important issues in your life in terms of funding. We do want to put California on a better path to make sure that it handles those citizens that have needs that are great contributors to the society. I think all of us have had significant impact. I didn't mention my niece is one of the directors or persons at the ARC in Los Angeles, and some of you know she's an advocate, Desiree Boykin, who was born with disabilities, but is a marvelous young woman who, because of the advocacy of her parents and the services in Los Angeles, functions extremely well and comes to the Capitol to advocate for you all the time, and reminds me of the importance of the work that she does and the importance of you in my life in terms of making sure that all young people who come along who have certain disabilities really function extremely well and are major parts of our society. So I'm really appreciative of that. I want to thank the staff who've come and shared with us. We want to do the best we can for the people of California, and that's our task, that's our mission, and unfortunately I'm cognizant of the challenges my colleagues had over the years, and I appreciate the difficulty that they had in making the cuts. But as I said before, you know, when you're in difficult times, you make cuts. You know, if you're a family that's struggling and you're used to 3 meals a day, you may go down to 1 meal a day. It is irresponsible, however, when you become better and you do better, that you still eat 1 meal a day. And so as a result of that, we have to at least begin to have lunch. If necessary. So with that having been said, I want to thank the panel for coming. I'm not sure if you have any closing remarks. Thank you so very much. We have another panel to hear from the Department of Rehabilitation. That will be next. Thank you so much. I know our folks from the Department of Rehabilitation have been here since the beginning, so we want to get them up. Joe Xavier. And our alleged analyst and our director of finance, one of the persons from the Department of Rehabilitation, to come forward. Well, we're going to welcome from the Department of Rehabilitation. Had a wonderful meeting today, so we'll have Joe begin the discussion for us with regards to the budget and the Department of Rehabilitation. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee members. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be here to share our budget and to answer any questions that you have. I'm sorry, on and off switch. If I could just take a brief minute and share a little bit about myself, which really ties into the work of this department. I am a transplant to California. My parents moved a family of 8 here when I was 7 years old, and I am the only one with a disability. I am blind. Grew up in agriculture, working with my family, learning the values, the ethics, and the benefit of work and contribution to community, and was touched by the Department of Rehabilitation through the services that they provided, which afforded me the opportunity to go to work, 14 years in self-employment, nearly 16 years in public service, and 8 of those years in an executive capacity for the department, and now the director for the Department of Rehabilitation, which is truly, for me, living the American dream and really enjoying equality in the community. The Department of Rehabilitation provides services to some 114,000 individuals annually. Our vision is that every Californian with a disability enjoys employment, independence, and equality in society. We achieve that working through our community partners, through our staff, with our stakeholders, with our consumers, in delivering the services to get these individuals with disabilities into employment. The federal authority for our department comes from the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, last amended in 1998, and is found in the Workforce Investment Act, Chapter 4. Our federal oversight agency is the Rehabilitation Services Administration, which is under the Department of Education at the federal level. I'm going to turn this over to our Deputy of Administration, Teresa Corielli, to provide you with some additional information about our department.
Thank you, Joe. Good afternoon. I'm just going to refer to our PowerPoint presentation that was handed out, and we have on page 5, there's an overview of the last 5 years of our department's funding. Due to our rich federal funds, we have maintained a fairly stable budget from about $420 million now to the $425 million we have, and about a 13% general fund match over those years. On page 6, there's position history over the last 5 years. We have lost about 140 positions over the last 5 years, and more than double that over the last 10 years, actually. The department does not have sufficient funds to serve all individuals. So on page 9, we have our order of selection, a federal mandate that if you can't provide services to all, then you must provide to those with the most significant disabilities. So we've been operating under an order of selection since 1995, and we've made consistent services to categories 1 and 2, that is significant and most significant disabilities, since that time. We occasionally are able to provide services to a few individuals on the waiting list and have opened them in both 2011 and 2013 to provide services to about another 600 individuals. On page 13, you can see that our successfully employed outcomes took a dip in 2009-10 with the economy, but we're on an upward trend, and we continue to trend upwards even with the loss of positions, and a lot of that can be attributed to some of the initiatives and innovations that we've employed over the last few years, our modernization efforts, so to speak. We've moved from a service delivery of a one-to-one nature to a team. Consumers feel this is more responsive, and they're able to get the services that they need and get a hold of the people that they need to talk to in a more timely basis. We implemented an IT case recording system in 2011. We came in on time and slightly under budget in that IT project, and that's been a great assistance. And we're looking at all of our other internal processes to make process improvements. And in our most recent effort, we have received the federal Promise Grant. Joe will talk more about that in a little bit through the BCP overview. And that's another $50 million to the state of California to provide services to youth age 14 to 16. In our independent living services program, we continue to operate and fund 28 independent living centers in 60 locations throughout the state, serving over 20,000 individuals with disabilities, and that's all through federal funding. We have 17 programs that provide services to older blind individuals that serve about 7,000 older adults, and we have 7 traumatic brain injury providers that provide services to about 1,000 individuals annually. And I'm going to turn it back over to Joe.
Thank you. So are there any questions, or should I move on to the first item? Thank you. So our first item, we're requesting the authority for the Promise Grant, which is $10 million a year for 5 years, total of $15 million, and 6 positions to support the oversight and administration of that. And I should just real briefly, the Promise Grant, the students that we serve, ages 14 to 16, is me 40 years ago. I had the benefit of a family and an environment that allowed me to know that work was the way to go and that I could be a contributing member of society. The Promise Project aims to provide interventions to 14, 16-year-olds who are on supplemental security income so that they can enjoy both the promise and the benefit of work, but the interventions will provide them with the expectation that they can and that they are very likely to be successful at work, as well as to educate the family around the benefits and the needs of their loved ones to go to work.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't think our staff has any questions. Any comments from LAL?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ginny Bella with the Legislative Analyst's Office. We have no concerns with this proposal, and we would just note that in your agenda we noticed a staff recommendation for you to consider us working with the department to think about a way to get you the information you need to understand the impacts and the outcomes of these federal grants, and we'd be happy to participate in such an effort.
Sounds good. Okay. Anyone from the
Thank you, Madam Chair. Corey Nitschke, Department of Finance. We have no further comments.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anybody questions here? The audience? Thank you very much. That was really quick. We probably should get done you guys first, huh? I think we have to sit around through the whole piece that's there, but thank you so very much. This item, too, will be pending for further. They all discussed the Traumatic Brain Injury Fund. Did you not? She did. Did you discuss that item?
She just mentioned what the program was.
Okay, are you going to make the request for the fund? Yes.
Yes, so item number 2 is a one-time augmentation of $500,000 to support the traumatic brain injury services that we provide. We contract with 7 providers to deliver services in the community. This would allow us to continue to pursue the waiver so that we can bring the funds in to support long-term services here for this population. And again, it provides the opportunity for them to live independently in their communities and to have supports necessary to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions concerning that?
I'd just like to express my support for this proposal. It's a small subgroup that you only hear about when you hear about an individual case of someone having a traffic accident or some other trauma that caused the brain injury. But unless it happened before the person comes of age and they can become a regional center client, there's really not much out there, and generally except for family. I mean, families, and so this program has been very, and it's declined because of loss of federal funds, but it's very minimalist amount of support that's provided, and it's one that we really should endeavor to rebuild, and I'm glad the administration is proposing that in the department.
Yeah, it's great. Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from staff? Anyone? Any public comments? Okay.
Will Sanford with Futures Explored up here in support of both issues. Actually, the Promise Grant is one of those that one of the largest barriers for many of our folks receiving long-term employment is they get on Social Security and they never go off.
Right.
The statistics are amazing. For those who go on, about half of 1% will ever leave. It's huge. And I agree with Assemblymember Chesborough. And those with TBI, especially those over the age of 18, they become the tweeners, and they really need the services that we often support for folks with developmental disabilities, and they sort of get lost in the shuffle and really need that support to go forward.
Thank you.
That way? Yeah. Evelyn Abu-Hassan with Disability Rights California, echoing many of the comments of Mr. Sanford and Assemblymember Chesborough. Very, very supportive of both of these endeavors. Thank you.
Rick Rollins here on behalf of the Brain Injury Association of California. I want to thank Senator, I'm sorry, I keep calling you Senator, Assemblymember Chesborough for his kind comments. And clearly this is not a lot of money. It's something that's desperately needed. This is a group in our society that goes, quite frankly, unrecognized, and we're all literally one step away from something like this happening. And the group that I represent, the Brain Injury Association of California, represents a number of providers and family members who are dealing with brain injury every day, and we strongly support the department's recommended BCP. Thank you.
You so much.
Hi again, I'm Eric Sigmund from the Pomeroy Center. We have one of the 7 traumatic brain injury service sites in California. We started self-funding services for people with TBI in the mid-'80s, and then in 2002, we've been a recipient of this Department of Rehab grant. And sort of, Dr. Weber, to your point about breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we have the same allocation as 2002 and 2014. And because it's a block grant and because we live in San Francisco, thank you, Twitter and Google, the costs are so outweighed in terms of being able to have staff that we end up having to provide less service. So I think this is not only an important thing to backfill, but I would encourage you to consider increasing funds for traumatic brain injury. You know, if you have a traumatic brain injury, and I work with somebody like this, the day before your 18th birthday, you can avail yourself of the Lanterman Act services. The day after your 18th birthday, you're in that in-between stage where there's very little support. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dan Clark. I'm here to represent Traumatic Brain Injury Services of California, who actually is a service organization that has the 7 sites under AB 398 that's providing these services, one of which is Pomeroy Center. We support what the department's doing. We want to thank them for helping get the funds. We thank you for your support and your consideration, and whatever Assemblyman Wesley Chesborough said was right up there. This is a population you don't see much of, but when it happens, it affects a lot. And I want to say that this program is law has the potential to do a lot. It brings together community and vocational services for this population, and I think the models that can come out of here will be something down the future that we'll be glad to see.
Thank you.
Carlene Easter Seals. Again, we support the TBI funding. In addition to that, I'd like to, in a way, give a shout out for the state of California for applying for the Promise Grant. We are really excited about it, so we hope it gets your endorsement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty Moto, California Disability Community Action Network, CDCAN, family member. Also, first, I want to applaud the work of the committee consultant for a really good agenda, but also want to applaud the Department of Rehab for its work on the Promise Grant. We had talked with Joe and other department officials a while back, and their commitment to that is really remarkable. And also, the TBI fund is very important too. I'm going to applaud the department's work on that and support both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Anderson, the Arc California, fully in support of both proposals. The Promise Grant, we're very excited about that. You go right in the beginning when people are in high school, really convince and show and support young people so they think about careers. It's a very important move. Also, regarding traumatic brain injury, the Arc California is very involved in, as much as we can in prevention activities, swimming pool safety, helmet laws, seat belts, and all of those, anything we can do there. But really, the families that come to us with incredible stories, you definitely hit the nail on the head, Assemblymember Chesbro. These families are in dire need, and this is a very important program. And then, just real quickly, we did welcome a new director in the last part of the hearing, Mr. Santee Rogers, but also I'd like to give my confidence and welcome our new director here, Joe Xavier, and how excited we are to have Mr. Xavier on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Paul at State Council on Developmental Disabilities, ditto that. And also I want to express appreciation to the department for their work on the Promise Grant. This is really a promising project, and it's an important component of the state's commitment to the employment of people with disabilities under the Employment First policy. So thank you.
Thank you.
My chest and my heart are still pounding from the first go-around. Anyway, Rick Hodgkins, I sit on the Employment First Policy Committee as part of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. Ditto to those proposals as well. I support, both of which I support. I also have a concern about, a couple of days ago, I heard something about the Department of Rehab denying eligibility to those who are so-called too disabled. Even though I've heard my friend Joe say that or the deputy director say that they first need to serve those with the significant and most significant disabilities. I can't go into too much about what I heard 2 days ago, although that's what I did hear, and I'm very concerned about that. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? I want to thank you. Both projects obviously are very worthy. I'm sure it'll get our support. This item is being held over, but thank you so very much for your presentation.
And ditto the welcome to the new director.
Yes, to the new director. Once again, thank everyone for coming. And I think if nothing else is to be said, we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.